You're watching PowerNation. Today on Music City Trucks, we start carving out our cab to make room for our gear-banging 6-speed. Plus, we trim some fat off our bed to accommodate the rear suspension and the fuel tank.
Then we'll fabricate a new exhaust system and give you some tips on how to build some custom headers.
All right, come on down with that.
All right, coming down.
We'll get this thing down close to these body mounts here, see how far we can go.
Yeah, you think it's gonna clear the firewall with that big block Chevy that's sitting in there now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, these things came with a big block from the factory, but you know, the valve covers were a little bit different. So that's the big thing to me. It might give us a little clearance problem, these tall valve covers, but the block itself, the heads, should clear the firewall.
Yep.
Getting closer to these body
Almost
mounts,
there.
get it all down there. See how close we can get. And right about there, that looks good.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome to Music City Trucks. Well, we're hard at work on our 632 SS project, and today we're gonna focus on the exhaust system. But before we can make those custom set of headers, well, we need to see what kind of real estate we got between the cab and the frame rail.
And first things first, what we gotta do is, since this truck originally came with an automatic transmission, we have to figure out our shifter location and get a hole cut so we can be banging gears on this 6-speed. And then we're gonna move to the back and we gotta clearance some of the cross sills on the bed to fit with our new Ride-Tech suspension, and also mark and figure out the location for our filler neck on our new fuel tank.
Let's get that marked and cut out.
Let's do it.
All right, roll under here and mark this shifter. Yeah, shove my head in the cross member first. Yeah, that's nice and comfortable. All right, right about here. Let's see. Whoop. There, backside. There, and around the front. Slide around the other side. Yeah, that general location, that'll work. Get out of here and get it cut out.
You ready to go up, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead, send it up.
All right, let's do it. How high you want this thing?
That looks good.
All right.
All right, climb up in here again. Cover up the trans, keep all the metal shavings out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll work. All right, here we go. Here we go. We'll connect the dots from the top.
All right, so now that Mike's got these holes cut, what I'm gonna do is just make some lines here so I have something to cut to, hit it with a cutoff wheel. I wanted to use a jigsaw, but ours ended up in the trash, so I'm gonna use a cutoff wheel today and we'll get this all cut out. All right, good enough. All right, we'll clean that up with a grinder and a file, and then we should be ready to drop this cab down on the frame. All right, should be good to go.
All right, with that hole in there, it's time for the moment of truth.
All right, let's see how I did.
Coming down.
All right, I think that's pretty good. Fits like a glove.
Let's check it out there. Oh man, it's like it was made for it. It's perfect.
Not too shabby. Well, that's another thing checked off the list.
Yep. Get everything done.
Yep. Let's try not to batter ram the back of the cab.
All right, here we go. All right, so our suspension system runs into the bottom of the bed, the cross sills. So I'm just gonna go in here and mark where it's at, along with the fuel tank. And the bottom of the bed are spots, so where we need to trim it back. Yeah, we'll mark right there. Then on our fuel tank up here, give us a little bit more room. About that area. Perfect. All right, filler neck, and that's it.
All right, so now with our marks here, I'm gonna go ahead, use our plasma cutter with a straight edge, get these all cut out so we can get this bed on the chassis.
Coming up, we gain access to the fuel tank and get our Chevy steering in the right direction. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, we've got our area marked for our filler neck and it lined it up right where we want it. Well, not really, it's in a pretty bad spot. So for our hole saw here to open up, I'm just gonna go ahead and drill a hole first. It's right there in the seam, that makes it really tough. So get that opened up, then cut the big hole out. Bingo. There we go. All right, set this thing down.
Let's see what we got. Okay. Hold on. All right.
There she is. That looks good.
That looks pretty good to me.
All right, now before we can make our custom set of headers for this truck, we have to install one more piece, and that is the steering shaft. Now, it lies right in the area where we make those headers. So our truck used this factory steering box right here that utilized the parallelogram style steering system that you had a drag link, an idler arm, pitman arm. They worked fine over the years, but there's been some improvements in that technology.
And one of those improvements was this trick piece from Flaming River. Now we got this, all it does is bolts right into the chassis and it's gonna give us a lot more room to clear those headers. What do you say we get this installed?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this stuff out of here. Get it bolted in. Now we'll get this bracket off here and separate these two, make it a little bit easier to install.
All right, let's see if we can get this thing up in here.
Slide that back. Hold this up here.
All right,
get that bracket there.
Got its spot.
Yeah. Now this rack and pinion kit from Flaming River bolts right into your 88 to 98 1500 Chevy truck. It eliminates all that unnecessary sloppy feel from the factory linkage system and provides a tight steering response. And then your same tie rods lock into place. All right, get the steering shaft on here. Somewhere, there it goes there. And then we slide it up here. This extends out. And once we install this for good, we'll take all these out, put a flat on our shaft, tighten that up, tighten those jam nuts, be good to go. If you ever remember the days as a kid building puzzles and you saw that picture on the box, and man, that's a really cool puzzle, I want to put that together. Till you open up the box, dump out all the pieces, and you see, wow, what did I get myself into? That's kind of what we got going on here with our exhaust system. When you fabricate an exhaust system from the headers all the way back to the tailpipes, well, you got a lot going on. But take it one piece at a time and you'll end up with a really nice fitting exhaust system. So let's start building that puzzle. Now, when we talk about building our own set of headers, well, it might bring up a lot of headaches for some of you. Don't worry, it does me too. But take it one tube at a time and you'll end up with a really nice piece that you can be proud of. First thing we need to do, well, we've already got our exhaust flange attached to the cylinder head. Then that's point A, and then point B is gonna be our collector. So we're gonna get our collector fixed in a spot that we think it's gonna be happy for the set, and then we'll just connect the dots. Sounds simple, right? Let's get to it.
Fabricating custom headers can be puzzling, but we'll give you some techniques to fit all the pieces together.
All right, guys, welcome back. Well, while you were away, we went ahead and got our collectors underneath the truck tacked in place where we think they're gonna land. That gives us a fixed point between the flange and the collector on the bottom side of the truck so we can match up those pipes. Now, you might be thinking, why do you have to build a custom set of headers? Well, this is 632 cubic inches of big block power. It's moving a lot of air. There are some companies that do make headers for big block in this chassis, but they're a little small on the primary tube diameter, about 1.75 inches. We're going with 2 inches on our primary tube diameter. Now that might be a little small for this one as well, but we have to compromise with the real estate that we have and the capability of the engine. So now what we have to do is, I already took this one pipe and started cutting it up, kind of getting an eyeball of where she's gonna land. So it's just a matter of doing some cuts on the bandsaw, fitting up a couple other pieces, tack them into place. One by one, they'll fall together. Let's see here, how far that needs to stick out from the collector. About, that looks good. Keep my eye on that spot right there. Okay, right there. All right, with this piece cut for the collector, and then this one for our flange coming out of the cylinder, well, now we just need to get it down in there and see what the length is on this one, and then the angle we have to cut on this one to make it match up. There. All right, I got it marked where she needs to be. Now it's time to make the cut.
And speaking of cuts, there's a couple tricks that you want to pay attention to when you're dealing with radiuses and the stuff that I have to deal with on this side to try to get around the steering column. So when you're working on the bandsaw, you're going to be dealing with different radiuses, whether it's 180s, 45s, 90s. You just got to make sure when you're cutting these that you stay on the tangent of the radius. So that means, say you want to take a pie out of here, you want to make sure you're cutting straight to the center line of that radius. That way you're not going to have to deal with any oblong shapes, anything oval in the tube that's going to mess up your fit up. And then another thing you want to pay attention to is you want to make sure that you're clean on both the inside and on the outside. That way when you go to weld it up, you're not going to deal with any porosity. You're going to get a nice clean weld. So let's see how this one fits up in here. All right, let's see what we're looking like here. Hey Mike, you want to give me a mark here?
Sure. What you got?
And just go ahead and mark that right there.
There. Oh yeah.
All right, I think we're good. Let's go ahead, we'll get this thing out of here, get it tacked up, see if we have any more fitting to do.
Looks good.
All right, so we got these fit up. Let's go ahead and tack them. All right, so we'll go ahead and line up our lines that we got marked, and then we'll get it tacked up. All right, so we got that all tacked up. Let's go fit it up again in the truck, make sure it fits. All right, let's see how we're fitting here. All right, so it looks like I got something to work with here. We'll start back at the collector now, figure out my angle and get another piece in there. We'll do that process about 15 to 60 more times, and we should have a complete set of headers by then.
like I was made for it. Tack it up. All right, well, we got all our pieces fit and where we like them.
Yeah, the only thing we got left to do is get them off the truck, get them on the table, and get it welded up.
Right, you know, this looks so good. If we don't ever start the engine, we just leave it like that.
Be a lot easier that way. Up next, we show you how to prevent oxidation and create stronger welds while fabricating headers.
Then we'll finish building our double-duty exhaust system.
So now that we have our headers all fabricated, it's almost time to start welding. But there's a couple steps we're gonna have to take to ensure that we're getting a good weld. And one of those steps is called back purging. And all back purging is taking whatever gas that you're using, which in our case is 100% straight argon, and filling the inside of whatever tube you're welding with that gas. And that's gonna ensure that you're getting a good, solid weld with no cracking issues. And you want your weld to have the same surface area on the outside and on the inside. So that's gonna make sure that you're getting a nice clean weld on in there, okay? And so the way that we did it here is on this side, we took a piece of aluminum and just figured out our flange bolt pattern and bolted this to it. Now, there's a few companies that make silicone plugs in that way, but we don't have those, so we just decided to do that. Now down here, I'm gonna use a couple of inexpensive household items that'll serve the same purpose as those plugs. And the first of those I'm gonna use is a piece of aluminum foil. So you go ahead and you rip your piece off right here. You wanna make sure you triple it up, make it nice and thick, just like that. So we'll do that. Get your piece of cardboard that you already cut out to the diameter or whatever you're trying to purge. So we'll stick that on there like this, get it up. Wrap it just like that. Make sure it's nice and tight and flat. And then take your hose clamp and stick it right there on there like that. All right, that should be good. So now we got a nice sealed surface here. We got a nice sealed surface here. We'll go ahead and we'll insert our argon line right into here and we'll be ready to weld. So what you're gonna wanna do is have a hole here so that your argon line can thread into the cardboard. I already drilled one, so I'm just gonna open that up right there, grab my line, and start threading it in. So when you're threading these in, you wanna make sure you're not going too crazy because it is cardboard and it will pull out. I like to wrap a little aluminum foil tape around this. We don't have any, and this thing's holding pretty tight, so we're good to go there. Now another tip I got for you is you gotta keep your tungsten sharp, you gotta keep it clean. And the way I like to do that is with this Piranha 3 here from Diamond Ground Products. It's a real nice machine. All you do is you turn it on here, get your tungsten in the right size hole, put it in, spin it, and we're ready to rock and roll. It's nice sharp tungsten. It'll keep our welds nice and clean. Only thing left I gotta do is turn that argon on and we'll get to burning. So one of the most important things when you're welding is to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, the weld's not gonna come out good.
Well, now that we have our headers installed, it's time to fabricate the rest of this exhaust system. Now, the exhaust is a key area to provide the personality of a vehicle. And for me, there's nothing better than a mid-90s stock car ripping around Daytona at full song. Now, we may not be hitting the high banks anytime soon, but we can emulate that sound. We're gonna do that with this X-pipe and these boom tubes from SpinTech Mufflers. Now, when we don't want it to be so loud, well, we're gonna have an option to have a sort of a dual personality setup with these exhaust cutouts, and that's the subject of today's Summit Tech Tip. Now, these exhaust cutouts that we got from Summit Racing, they've actually been around for a long time. In fact, a lot of newer cars have a type of system like this called adaptive exhaust. So when you want to be discreet on the street, well, the exhaust is going to come out this direction, through the mufflers, and out the tailpipes. But when it's time to open up and let that big block sing, well, these valves open, and the exhaust comes out our boom tube. Now this whole kit is very simple, very easy to install, and it comes with everything you need. We have a switch, the wiring harness, and all the hardware included. All we have to do is provide power and ground, hit the switch. There you go. Now we're making all the noise out the boom tube. When we pull in that drive through, we need to quiet it down a little bit. Well, we close it right back up. This whole kit is very simple. You can get your set of these at Summit Racing. Now for us, well, we need to fabricate the rest of our exhaust system. Yeah, we get that roll pan on there, that exhaust will be tucked up nice and tight behind it.
Yeah, it's gonna be hiding real nice back there. Well, I got a little bit more welding to do, but if you guys like what you saw today, go over to PowerNation TV and check some more out.
See you guys next time.